Hello everyone and welcome back to Project Ozone 3. Mythic mode. In the last episode we did some endgame progress by getting the multi-armor and a few of the items that we're gonna need here soon, like the Endless Pearls and the Cosmic Meatballs, all in the effort of trying to fully automate the Infinity Catalyst. And today we're gonna continue with this recipe. If you remember, we're only missing the ultimate stew for this, and that's just gonna be farming a lot of crops, so it shouldn't be that bad. But first, let's go over what happened in between the episodes. I guess first things first, as you can tell, I did rebuild this automation area here. Last time it was a complete mess, and that's only because I didn't actually know how many machines were going to be on here, and it looked incredibly ugly. This time though, I just rebuilt it with aesthetics in mind, but other than that, it's working the exact same as before. I've also noticed that we are lacking on our liquid XP production. This was at like 26,000 buckets a few days ago, and it's dropping down very fast. We're using so much because of the mob duplicators that we have, and so what I've gone ahead and done is swap these magma crucibles that we have here to melting down solidified XP. We send all the essence of knowledge to a tank, and then through some fluid dictionary converters, which make it into liquid XP, and then that's sent to our ender tank, which then finally converts it to essence for the mob duplicators to actually use. Oh, and speaking of duplication, I've been sending all the ATEX compressed red matter through an EMC link, and we've literally hit the 64-bit integer limit, which is kind of crazy, although even that is only 72,000 ultimate singularities. And the last thing that has happened is, since I noticed we're going to need to be planting a lot of crops for this, and I don't really want to use that farm over there because it's going to lag my game, so I've gone ahead and made a farm a couple thousand blocks away from the base, and it's very basic. Just some plant gatherers, one crop stick each, and then a bunch of lily pads of fertility. So I mean, hopefully this thing is going to be fast enough. So actually, let's go ahead and test that theory out. Oh, he survived. How nice. Oh my goodness. I don't know who set that up, but at least he's still alive. Oh, okay, we're not going to talk about any of this. Anyways, let's try like blackberry seeds. See how fast that's going to be. That's incredibly garbage. I really don't want to 10 all these seeds. Well, I guess we'll have to try and get the imaginary time block then. Didn't know if we were going to need to craft this. I guess it has EMC, so it's not going to be that bad. So yeah, let me see what I can do about this. Oh, I guess that wasn't that bad. Nice, there we go. Okay, now let's try the growth speed with this. Oh my goodness. Wait, what? Wait, that's literally always mature. Yeah, this was definitely worthwhile. Oh yeah, it can reach all the way there. Okay, we'll just have to fix the light level issue, which I guess I can just spam a bunch of glowstone dust. But yeah, no, definitely invest in these time blocks earlier than I did. But also, wait a minute. If we have these time blocks in the 10-10-10ification station, will it actually 10-10-10 faster? What? It's faster than I can place it down. Oh my god, that is insane. And let's see how good this seed is now. Oh yeah, that's gonna be way faster than we can use it up. All right, now last thing I need to think about is extracting the items back into a central storage. So for that, I'll have a new ender chest. And yeah, we could probably get away with conduits, but they're gonna be slow and I'm gonna have to configure each one, and then I'm gonna have to put some extract speeds and blah blah blah. So instead, I'm just gonna use item lasers. And if you don't know, whenever you place an item laser on any inventory, it's basically like hooking up a storage bus. And if you connect that laser network to an item interface, which by the way, you can have multiple of in the same network, it doesn't change anything, then you can actually extract just from this, and that basically just exposes all the items in every storage to any logistics thing that you have. So you can even hook up a ME storage bus to this, and it'll be able to read everything from the plant gatherers. And you know what? That doesn't even sound like a bad idea. Yeah, that way we won't need to have any like drawers or anything. It'll just take from the internal buffer of the gatherers, which is going to be more than fast enough. So yeah, we just connect all the lasers to this interface and put a storage bus like that. Get a wireless connector, and we just have to find a connection back at the base. Let's go down here. We should have plenty of channels on this line. And that actually works, but it's using 5 million RF. Wait, no. Okay, and I was kind of trying to avoid it, but I guess we'll have to use a quantum ring for this. There isn't any reason. I just prefer the other methods a lot better. But yeah, no, wireless connectors use up way too much power. So let's see, I'll just place it here, give it the singularity, make the second ring, and yeah, just connect it up. All right, I guess we have to kickstart it with a little bit of power. And yep, there we go. But that looks ugly, so let's have 2 of them for symmetry. And let's check, we should see a bunch of blackberries. Yeah, so that's good. We don't even need any storage drawers or anything. Yeah, anyways, let me go ahead and connect the rest of these guys up. And yeah, let's just start populating all this stuff with some seeds. Oh, but first let me deal with all the stuff that has EMC, and then we'll 10 some more seeds to plant them. I still can't get over how fast this is. This is awesome. And looks like this is everything that has EMC. And I think the time block will work on trees. Yes. Looks like we can do the same thing for pears. And so yeah, the process is very simple. I just get a crop, and that one looks like it has EMC. Although we also get some gardens. We got onions and winter squash. And if I can't find something, I'll just buy it with the shop. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing that for a little bit, and then I'll meet you back. That's a lot of saplings. Alright, with all of those taken care of, now I need to deal with all the non-EMC stuff. Although before we do that, I kind of got ahead of myself and I planted some seeds already. So I don't really know what I'm still missing. I'll just start requesting the items. I think we're going to need 9 interfaces. And then from that, I'll know exactly what items we still have to deal with. And it looks like out of all the stuff that we are requesting, we're missing all of this, which is actually quite a bit. Oh wait, this one has EMC. Why did I not pick this one up? Yeah, I'll go get that right now. I don't think anything else should have EMC in here. Yeah, no, we're good. Okay, let me get started on buying all the seeds for this. And if there's any hiccups, I'll meet you back. And that looks like all the seeds that I need to buy. Now, there's still a couple things that we are missing. These 6 crops right here. And that's because you can't plant them down. These are like the weird trees that we have to get. And these like weird bushes and stuff. Let's get them. The duskberry, the blightberry, and mallowberry. And I'm not sure. Does the... Okay, yeah, no. The imaginary time block does work on these. But also it spreads, which is not really great. Let's see. Maybe if I contain it in a 1-block space, it has nowhere to grow. Yeah, that looks good. And then a mechanical user to harvest. Oh, but that drops it on the ground. Okay, well, we can still work with this. Let's see. So we can have the bushes something like this. Cover them with the glass, of course. Some output drawers. Trim to connect them up. And then a drawer controller right there. We can also have an item collector. And these bushes seem to be a little bit slow at growing. So we'll give them like 4 of these imaginary time blocks. Sure. And yeah, it looks like it's good. It's not as fast as I hoped. But I guess maybe some more imaginary time blocks will help. Oh, and definitely some speed upgrades to the users themselves. Well, anyways, hopefully this will be fast enough. Definitely want to put a void upgrade on these. I don't want to wake up to spilling items on the floor. And we can just connect a laser to the drawer controller. That should work the same. Actually, no, that does not work. Oh, and I even built the whole thing off center by 1 block. God damn it. Yeah, no, I'm definitely rebuilding this. Okay, there we go. So I've gone ahead and rebuilt the system here. And I have a lot more imaginary time blocks on this. Although maybe not fast enough. Let's add another row here. Why? Just because we can. Oh yeah, look at that. They're pretty much almost constantly grown. And yeah, no, I just ended up putting a wireless connector from here to there. And then a storage bus on the drawer controller itself. And now all we're left with is maple syrup, vanilla bean, and walnut. So all the sapling things. I think phytogenic insulators are going to be our best bet. But I would like to make an in-world setup just like this one. So now let me get all the saplings that we're gonna need. And we'll have an EMC link here to supply the saplings. Oh, and the walnut doesn't have EMC though. Okay, well, we're gonna deal with that when we need to deal with it. I forgot, I need to move these 1 block forward. We'll set this to place block. And of course, we use our imaginary time blocks. We can even just use bone meal to get the syrup. Okay, in that case, get rid of this tree. We'll swap this guy to do bone meal. Yep, that should be fast enough. We'll disable him for now until we have drawers for all this. For this guy, I think we can also do the same thing. Yeah, we can just bone meal this vanilla bean. Although instead what I'm gonna do is just have a plant gatherer, give that some power, and it should hopefully mine up the tree. Yes. Okay, and actually never mind that idea, because for some reason these saplings are not wanting to grow. Yeah, no, I don't get it. What's up with that? They're not growing unless I twerk, which is not the most automatic thing. Okay, there we go. Should be good now. So let's go through the setup one more time. Took me a little bit to figure this out. The simplest one is in the middle, the maple wood. We just have 3 mechanical users with bone meal. Let me enable them again. And yeah, that drops the items and the collector picks it up, puts it in the drawer. Then on the sides, I decided to just go with phytogenic insulators for the vanilla bean and the walnuts. So we have them getting water from the bottom, power from the top, and the input and output is from the back with some more lasers. We input phyto grow from an EMC link. And then we also extract excess saplings just so that they don't clog up the secondary slot because we already have a monoculture cycle here, so the saplings never get consumed. We have the same thing on the other side, but for walnuts. And then over here at the drawer controller, we have another laser and an item interface to extract all the outputs into these drawers and store them. And yeah, I'd say this turned out relatively nice looking. And I think actually with that, we're completely done. Let me double check if we actually have everything. It looks like we do, other than walnuts, which is kind of weird. Why the hell has that happened? Oh, wait, I forgot to hook this up with a storage bus. And look at that, the whole thing is symmetrical. That was definitely planned. And yeah, now walnuts are available. Now we connect everything with lasers. And now I get to take all these items and put them one by one in the tables to set the recipe. That's going to be really fun. And there we go. The ultimate stew. Let's not forget to set the recipe. And the quest. Alright, now we auto insert from the up, and there we go, it's fully automatic. Well, while that happens, I'll set up the rest of the tables. Oh, you can even control space the items from the interface. That makes it a little bit easier. And there we go, all the tables are set. So now with that complete, we can start filling out the recipe for the Infinity Catalyst. Oh my goodness, finally. There's only 8 items that we need to filter in, and we're missing record fragments. That's just any music disc, and it has EMC. Yep, there we go. 1 table, 2 tables, and 3 tables filtered. Alright, awesome. filter this in the drawer, and that is just beautiful. And after some time later, maybe like 20 minutes or so, we're up to 500 infinity catalyst. Yeah, we're gonna grab that. And let's see about the infinity ingot. We're just missing Dreadium clusters, which I've been preparing a while ago. So we should have exact amounts. Yeah, nice. Oh, and there's the quest for the multi-armor. Anyways, we make this into the block, and we can add it to a mob duplicator. I did actually go ahead and add the other side of this in between the episodes, so we can just add that over here, and there we go. So with that finally complete, I think it's about time that we start looking into some creative items. Yeah, we were literally only gated behind infinity ingots, I think. Yeah, literally, that's all the gating that was there. We can get like creative energy cell, ember source, the compressor too, creative tank. Oh, creative tank. Wait, yeah, that's gonna be really nice to have. I'm gonna pin that. Creative generator, we can do that. Ooh, and even creative cobblestone generator. This one's really easy. Although one more thing before we actually get to that. This is something that we're going to want to get started early because it's going to take a while. And that's going to be the Spectre Coil Singularity. It needs 13,000 of the Ender Spectre Coils for one. And I think in total we need like 56 of these ingots. We're not even going to look at all the other items in this list. It's even more singularities of just random stuff. And these ingots are actually used for the Chaos Plank. So I want to get this done with early. And I think the math is something around 730,000 Spectre Coils. And all we're missing for that is literally the ectoplasm. 8 million ectoplasm to be exact. That's kind of crazy. All the other stuff like lapis, redstone, all this stuff here has EMC. It's just that our transmutation chamber only goes up to 1 million items. But we can always just use an EMC link. And these ones can expose as many items as possible. There is no limit. But that's for later. Anyways, so there's really only two ways of getting the ectoplasm. Obviously the bonsai saplings, which are definitely never going to be enough. I've been running this farm since the beginning of the series almost. And we're only up to 400k. So even if I try to scale this, it's going to take probably hundreds of hours to actually get the 8 million that we need. Thankfully though, there is a solution, and it comes in the form of this thing, the spirit. Yeah, those little guys. Whenever you kill these guys with magic, and right here it gives us an example of potions, it gives us a pretty decent rate of ectoplasm. And obviously we can spawn these guys. So yeah, farming these guys is not going to be a problem. We can also even use the Spectre Sword to kill them with like a mechanical user, but that consumes Spectre ingot in the recipe, which is more ectoplasm. So I think we will just use potions. It looks like instant harming is pretty good. You know what? I'll go ahead and set myself up some potion brewers, and then we'll make a space for spawning and killing the spirits. Okay, wow, that took a while to configure, but it should be working now. Once all the machines have some items in them. Yep, so there we go. Yeah, this one's already started. Oh, no. I'll fix that in a minute. But anyways, so actually right next to the multi-blocks room, where the old pressure chamber used to sit, we have 20 potion brewers, all making instant harming potions. And you would think this is a lot, but it's actually not that fast. Yeah, watch this. You see, every time that work buffer is full, it does one step of the chain, and there's 4 steps. But we'll see. Anyways, let me change out the filter here to an advanced one. Okay, it looks like it's working so far. And now I have to actually build the spirit farm itself. Now, because that means I'm going to be killing a bunch of entities, I will be putting it in the Twilight Forest to save on lag. Alright, now because we want the setup to be as fast as possible, I'm gonna have 8 mob duplicators. And then for actually killing the spirits, we'll just have a mechanical user that'll throw the potions, which we can grab from the ender chest. Not sure if we produce potions faster than the rate it's using it, but I guess we'll see. Alright, and let's see what the range of these guys is. That's actually a pretty big range. Maybe I'll decrease the size on this a little bit. Well, let me actually test out if it will first actually spawn the spirits in that corner. Okay, yeah, no, the spirits are definitely escaping. Oh, but I guess if we spam enough mob fans, we'll be able to push them to the center, and that'll kill all of them? Yeah, probably. Let's see. Let's get like some height modifiers, some width, and maybe a little bit of distance. Now we're just missing the corners, which is easy enough to fix. Push the mobs down as well. We'll send this through our white, orange, white ender chest, because that can already void all the loot bags. Alright, and there we go. With all of the mob fans turned on, we seem to be getting a pretty decent rate of ectoplasms. We get about 30 every few seconds, which is probably going to be fast enough. I think I might time it just so that I know the exact rate, and then we'll calculate how long that'll take us to get the 8 million that we need. Hopefully we won't be totally screwed, but I don't know. Alright, but before that, I definitely want to have one of these item barrels to store the ectoplasms because of the infinite capacity, right? To me, it looks like we're getting about anywhere from 30 to 50 every 2 seconds. Let me go ahead and do the math on that real quick. Well, we might be screwed. From the quick math that I did, this is gonna take around 111 hours to get enough, which is quite a lot. I might consider rebuilding a second one of those modules, and that'll bring it down to 50 hours, or I'll even add like 3 more modules in between the episodes, and that'll make it 25 hours, which is a little bit bearable. But anyways, at least that's set up right now, and it'll build up somewhat once we need it in the future. Right now though, let's go back to focusing on the creative items. I'm hoping to be able to do all of these before the end of the episode, although it's probably still gonna take a while. I guess let's go ahead and start off with the easiest one, which to me looks like this creative energy cell. Oh, and this one is using the chaos plank along with most of the creative items, and we'll need 28 of these planks, which means we'll want 28 creative energy cells. So I guess I'll make all of them all at once. I might as well. Anyways, let me actually start preparing all the materials for this, and then if there's any hiccups, I'll meet you back. And after a little while, this is how much I have from the recipe. It's actually so easy, I'm gonna make half a stack just because why not? But right now all we're missing is the spatial IO components, which has EMC, so I'll get that real quick in a bit. But also wither-proof blocks, which needs wither skeleton essence, which is the seeds. We're just missing skeleton seeds from this, and also the wither skeleton chunks. Although as long as we have one tier 5 mob chunk, which we do, nice, then we can actually get the rest here with a little trick that I know, by using the processing upgrade, which we couldn't make before because it was locked behind ultimate ingots. And what this one does is it will double every output, not just like the ores or like sand and stuff. No, it doubles everything, including already pulverized ingots. So yeah, it's a pretty weird upgrade, but it's going to be useful in our case because we can just craft these into the wither skeleton chunk and then smelt it, and yep, that doubles it. Craft some more, double it again, and we can do that for basically forever. But yeah, that was super easy. And now we just need skeleton seeds, which we can do the exact same thing. I'm gonna harvest enough here manually. Don't think I'll need to 10 this. Okay, I think I have enough of the essence for 2 stacks of the blocks. And now we're just missing the spatial components, which are easy. Yep, there we go. And there's our first creative item, the creative energy cell. We'll put that in a crate, and I will just take one so that I can use it for the system itself, just because there's no reason not to, right? And I guess next up, we'll tackle the creative generator, which I just noticed we cannot do because it needs chaos ingots. Never mind. Yeah, it's a whole thing that we're not going to get into right now. So yeah, that's not going to happen. I guess we can still do the creative cobblestone generator, and maybe the creative fluid tank. Remember, we still need the blood tank tier 16 for this. And even though I dedicated a full chunk, so all 4 of these mob duplicators are doing blank runes, we're still only at 236,000. Let's see how much we're still missing for this. Ooh, only 90k. That's not that bad. Yeah, this will be done in a couple of hours. But anyways, let's see what we need for this generator here. And if I want half a stack of these, then we'll want a stack of these ultimate furnaces, which doesn't have a terrible recipe. Yeah, get that started. And I think other than that, everything here is going to be very trivial. What is this? Oh, that's what? 8 stacks of capacitors that we'll need? Which is perfect. I have exactly that amount. Okay, now I actually think there's nothing else that I can't get here. So yeah, let me do that and then I'll be back. Yep, just as I expected, that wasn't that bad. But the last item that we're missing now is these dense cobblestone generators. And I really don't want to make that many of them, so I'm hoping I can animate this. Which I totally can. Awesome. Alright, yep, there we go. Cool. Nice. Half a stack of creative cobble generators. I do want to see how fast this thing is. Oh, no, that makes sense. Alright, anyways, now, let's go ahead and deal with the creative tank. Don't think I'll be able to get it today. Maybe in this episode, but not today for me. So let me actually start collecting the items for this. And if there's any problems, then I'll bring you back again. Alright, so we're back, and I've gone ahead and filled out the recipe to the best of my ability. There's only a couple of items that we're missing here, but first we have a more pressing matter to deal with, and it has to do with the Infinity Catalyst. We're up to 2,000 of these, and it looks like our current bottleneck is the ultimate stew, because we've ran out of a couple of ingredients here, which I've already pinned here. Not sure why that even happened. Yeah, here's Kanaf, we have that. Oh, actually everything is disconnected. We can't see any of the crops that we're planting. I mean, I thought the wireless connectors would patch the channel, but the storage bus is offline. Guess we have to connect it like that, but that doesn't make sense because we're out of mallow berries, which are on a separate storage bus entirely. Okay, I switched up the layout a little bit, and now it seems to be working fine. Maybe the wireless connectors were interfering with each other because we had them all connected to the same cable, but it should be working again, so I'm not complaining. Okay, so with that mishap out of the way, now we can deal with the rest of the items that we need for the creative tank, which is only these 4 items. The ultimate fluid tank, this is just going to be a couple of patterns, and it also doesn't stack, so I'm going to make that last. We'll also need neutral steel of the 11th degree, Infinity tank, and osmium clumps. Let's start off with the osmium clumps. All we need to do is hook this up to some oxygen, and then put some osmium ore in there. Some hoppers for automation because they're the best, and that should be good. And next up, because we can't deal with the infinity tank yet, we'll do the neutral steel. It looks like there's only 3 machines that we need: PRCs, chemical injection chambers, and metallurgic infusers. And I do want the setup to be quite fast, so like half a stack of these infusers should be good. I think for this setup, I should be able to just remove this ore processing that we have here, because I don't think we'll need this anymore. Because in the neutral steel recipe, we need both sulfuric acid and sulfur trioxide. So I'm definitely going to want a faster production of those. So I guess, yeah, let me see what I can come up with here. after what felt like hours, we now have all the neutral steels up to the 10th degree automated. And I also extended the room over here a little bit for some extra things that we needed to automate as well. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So actually, yeah, let's get started with the 7th degree. We have 21 metallurgic infusers. And even though I upgraded them to the factory, it doesn't actually matter. It still does one at a time because of just because of the limit that it can import tin at. So yeah, making these a factory did absolutely nothing. But anyways, all we're inputting is the 6th degree, which comes from an EMC link down here, and pulverized tin from the back, which comes from this ender chest right here. And the ender chest is being filled by 10 sag mills, all with stellar capacitors, and they're pulverizing blocks of tin, which also come from another EMC link. And when you do this, you definitely want to pulverize the blocks of tin and not just the ingots. I think it's about 4 times faster if you do that, or 40%, I'm actually not sure. But still, it's a lot faster, and it actually keeps up with our demand. Then all the outputs get extracted on red and into this drawer, which I've been letting run for a little bit, and we're already up to 70,000. But yeah, so then the 7th degree goes through the second set of machines, which is chemical injection chambers, with an input of sulfuric acid, which comes from the back via quantum entangloporter. And for the 7th degree, which we have in this drawer, we're just using a porcupine here. But yeah, anyway, sulfuric acid is produced all the way here in these 3 setups. We have this setup for chemical oxidizers, which goes into a quantum entangloporter for sulfur dioxide. And then that comes over here to 2 chemical infusers, getting oxygen from a separator, and then of course the dioxide. That goes into another entangloporter, which comes over here into another chemical infuser setup, gets combined with some water vapor, which comes from this, and then that makes the sulfuric acid, which comes to another entangloporter. And that's actually where the bulk of the automation is. The 9th degree is just 8th degree plus sulfur dioxide, which we already have. And the next one is the 9th degree plus sulfur trioxide, which we also already have. And now let me really quickly add the 11th degree, which is just a PRC. That's kerosene. 200,000 RF per tick? Why? And it's not even that fast, even with max upgrades. That's a little bit crazy, but here's the 11th degree. Nice. Alright, now you just need to void the excess hydrogen. So we'll just output the gas on the bottom and then have a gas tank with dumping excess. Cool. So for the 11th degree, all you need is 10th degree kerosene and oxygen. And kerosene, we have that from the refinery towers. I'm gonna need 2 stacks of it if I want to make 32 tanks. Okay, don't think I was recording there, but we actually had enough blank runes now to start up the blood tank tier 16 craft, so that's going now. And so yeah, with that crafting, we're actually super close to creative tank. Just have a ton of waiting to do. So when that's done, I'll bring you back. Aha, look at what just showed up in the ME system. That didn't take too long. And with some miscellaneous ingredients, we can almost get the infinity tank. We're just missing fluid cores. And that actually doesn't look too bad. It turned daytime in the middle of the craft. Well, actually, that's not that big of a deal, because unlike the last time that we were doing this, we can get the imperfect ritual stone, like so, lock a lapis on top, and we can turn it into nighttime. Okay, there we go. The audio is very glitchy, but it works. There's the fluid core, and with that, there's the infinity tank. And finally, with some ultimate fluid tanks, I present to you the creative fluid tank. And a couple more, in fact, actually. And there's the last one. So let's put this thing to use, shall we? And I think a perfect example for this is going to be pink slime ingots, because we need a singularity for this, and it's 13,000 per. The cool part about it, though, is that we can have a casting table or continue using more fluid sieving machines. I don't know which one's faster. Looks like this one can cast out in 4 seconds, but if we fully upgrade a sieving machine, and let's grab a little bit of pink slime, that should do. We can right click that and auto output to the tank below. Nice. And the sieving machine works every 19 ticks. Oh, that's a lot better. Yeah, it's definitely better to spam those. So let me go ahead and make a setup for these, and then I'll bring you back. Oh, yeah, and by the way, you can just reset the creative tank by putting it in the crafting grid. Alright, so yeah, I went ahead and wired up everything, and I put the sieving machines in place of the magma crucibles because we're not using those anymore. It's still the same setup though. Lasers for items, and then we extract from the item interface into the output drawer for pink slime. And so yeah, this should be done in no time. We're already up to 3,000 and it's climbing very fast. I do have a storage bus under here so that we can actually access it. I just need to find a connection. And I think because each of these tanks can hold 2 million buckets, and we consume 2 buckets for each ingot, we should be able to make 1 million ingots, which is going to be plenty because I think we only need around 700,000. Anyways, with that, I'm going to take a quick break here, edit all the footage, and then we'll see if we still have time to do any other things. So yeah, I'll see you in a bit. Alright, and a little bit of time later. I think we still have enough time in the episode for one more creative item. Also, ignore the stellar pickaxe, I just got bored. Anyways, I'm thinking for this last creative item, we should go with the ember source. There's something from embers that we're going to need in the end game by the thousands. So having this is going to save a lot of time. And looking at this recipe, it actually doesn't seem that bad. So this next part didn't really go as planned. First, I looked at all the materials we're gonna need. And I decided to start with getting signets of antimony, which we can creative tank now, so that was easy. This, I guess we'll just have a hopper and the creative tank like so. And if I just place down some ember shards in the hopper, it should work. But then I saw that we needed a lot of some exchange tablet crafting, which is very annoying to do. So I tried to automate it a little bit because I'm not crafting all of those by hand. Remember, we're trying to get half a stack of each creative item. So my first idea is to try and use some item lasers. So hopefully that works. Otherwise, I'll just use some item ducts. But yeah, let's see. But yeah, then I went on to spend like a whole hour making the setup because it's magic, and magic mods obviously always hate being easily automated. And yeah, after a while, I actually landed on a setup that worked. So as you might notice from the time, it's been like an hour since the last cut, but I've finally done it. I've made a working setup for these exchange tablets, and I put it in the Twilight Forest just to avoid lag. My poor PC is not handling this world that well anymore. I've just been having a lot of trouble with these alchemy pedestals. They really just don't want to work, or at least they don't work as intended. But anyway, so what we're having is a couple of EMC links. This one is just to supply ashes. In my seed, it's 35 on Dawnstone and 35 on copper. So that's exactly what we have these resonant retrievers set to. And then on the exchange tablets themselves, we have more retrievers that keep in stock one of each item. And on the bottom, we have another conduit with limited item filter for the middle item. That's just so that I can also extract from the same side into an output chest. Although now that I've said that out loud, I'm realizing that the items get dropped on the ground, so this doesn't even work. Yeah, you don't need to do that. Never mind. Anyways, then we have on top 4 pressure refineries, and then that feeds the beam cannons with embers. And so if I flick this lever, you can see that the sound effect is broken, but it is working. Nice, there we go. But yeah, so I only have the one module set up. I still need to copy this guy to the rest of the alchemy pedestals, which actually isn't too bad because you can use the red print on these servos to copy the settings. So that makes it a little bit more bearable. But I think I'm gonna leave that for a later time. I've been working a little bit too much on this, and I don't really have too much time left for this episode. At least not as much as I thought I did. I was really hoping to get the ember source just really quickly, but this setup just took way too long to figure out. So we're just gonna leave that for next episode. And I think we'll also be getting into the chaos catalyst next. This is the thing that we need to automate from embers, the flame barrier. So once we need to do that, I'll repurpose the setup for that. I will, of course, as I mentioned, build 3 more of these ectoplasm setups in between the episodes, of course. And I might even double this ember setup because remember, we're gonna need 12,000 chaos catalysts. And if I counted right, I think we get one every like 40 seconds from each of these tablets, which is quite slow. So I'll probably be doubling the setup. I don't know. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll come back next time to do what I just said. But for now, though, have a great rest of your day.